My name is Sue-J and I'm here with my co-host Santosh. And before we begin, we would first like to send out a big thank you to each one of you who showed us so much love for episode 1 of our new podcast, Ashaएं Beyond Work. And now we're already moving into episode 2 of this show, Ashaएं Beyond Work, that aims to help you give back more actively. Give back, so many people do, but more actively, and be really happy to continue doing that, right? So, Santosh and I are on this journey. We've just begun this journey, and on this journey, in episode 2 we present to you a very unique guest today. Unique because what he does for work is actually study, right? Because he's all of 17 years old and he is a student at Aditya Birla World Academy in Mumbai. And his name is Neel Khatau. Neel does something very unique and something beyond just studying, and that too on weekends. And in Lonavala, which is a hill station which is near Mumbai. And Santosh, would you like to possibly also add more to that?
Absolutely. So, I was just thinking, it's not for our episode today so special that in our previous episode, the first episode, incidentally, we had a very eminent doctor who was well established, very experienced, and then at the same time moved into social space where he has set up his senior citizens home, incidentally very much near Lonavala. And
Yes.
on this episode today, it's not beyond work. I would rather say Neel is beyond school. Okay, very much practical on the ground there. And he apart from the fact that he loves trekking, cycling, he loves to take people during the weekends, of course, to show in and around Lonavala and Khandala. That's what he's been doing. But what makes it more special is what Neel addresses a very important issue of India, and that is about social space, where whatever contributions that he receives from these small tours, as he calls it, like taking around people around Lonavala and Khandala and seeing these places, everyone contributes. It's a very nominal fee, I would say, but the beauty of this is all that goes into amazing charity, be it for development of a blind association out there, or for pet care, and that's something that we're going to talk about all through in this next 15 to 20 minutes. I would really not call it beyond work, but today's episode very specially is beyond school. So hi and welcome, Neel, for this very special second episode of Beyond Work.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
Yeah, so Neel, my first question to you is, you know this generation, right? And when I talk about the generation, the millennials or whatever we call it, right? When we talk about them, we typically talk about social media, applications to the best US or the UK universities, or something where they're into some kind of hustle, right? And a lot more on phones, right? Social space. But here's a guy, Neel Khatau, where we get to know he is visiting places like Lonavala and Khandala not just as a as a weekend, but helps in social development, in rural development. So can you tell us what inspired you? How did this idea trigger? Maybe you can start off with that.
Sure. So since the age of 5, I've been cycling and exploring Lonavala every weekend. Like my parents brought me here into Lonavala every weekend, and I used to explore different places like the Lonavala Dam and the Duke's Nose and other places here. Over a period of time, I slowly built a passion for it, like to go out, explore new places, be with nature and all. And I also met stray dogs, animals, and people who really needed support. I really felt
Hmm.
a sense of compassion towards them. I also heard about stories like the of people falling off cliffs, people, organizations rescuing them, like people rescuing them.
Yeah.
And I thought, if people are doing such phenomenal job, and there are people, animals who need support, why not bring my compassion towards animals and the people, combine
Mm-hmm.
that with my passion for treks and exploring Lonavala. And
Mm.
so through our new initiative called Neel Adventures, we look to raise funds to support the people who are visually impaired, the street dogs in Lonavala, and a wonderful organization called Shivdur, with a local organization that
Yeah.
looks at rescuing various people who have fallen down cliffs and even animals who are injured. It's truly phenomenal to see their work. So we basically earn through treks and cycle tours and all, and donate to them.
So, Neil, what have been your key learnings? Because one is sitting in a classroom and learning history, geography, and mathematics. That's theory. But at the same time, in your case, as I would actually say, you're already an intern, or
Yeah.
actually becoming a tourism professional in due course, probably. But as an intern, you're actually there on the ground, and I'm sure it's not just about going to a trek, or go for cycling and showing people around, but you are learning yourself a lot, I'm sure, right? As
Right.
in meeting people, understanding their issues, their challenges. And for us, right, for us, a Lonavala or a Khandala is a tourism, a weekend getaway, but for you it's much more than that. So what have been your key learnings?
So, firstly, I had not thought of it as an internship or stuff, as in, I had not structured it from the start.
Yeah.
It was like since 2014, since the beginning, actually, I just thought that I just took my passion as it came.
Mm-hmm.
So, where my heart told me, like, for example, I felt like I should take a group for a trek. It happened spontaneously. And I think through this, I've learned that let your passion flow freely and dream big. So if you dream big and let your passion flow, firstly, um, sky is the limit. Because what happens is that if you let dream big and you're letting your passion flow, you tend to um, explore opportunities that you wouldn't have dreamt of earlier. And
Okay.
another thing is that when you dream big, dream of one dream, I think 10, 15 times till it becomes crystal clear, that you start making paths for yourself. As in, for example, if I'm dreaming to collaborate with a hotel, I've dreamt of that collaboration 20 times, then you start making a route towards it.
Hmm.
And then automatically things start happening. So dreaming big, being passionate about it, letting your passion flow, I think those two are one of the most important learnings. Another thing is that intent, as I was saying, intent is extremely crucial, because if your intent is right, your heart is into it, I think anything is possible. For example, with the stuff we did for local talent and all, if our intent is to support locals properly and to see them grow, I think anything is possible with that too. So heart being in the right place is also very crucial. Then another thing that I've learned through this journey is that being grateful can also take you leaps and bounds. I think the firstly feeling grateful is the best feeling ever,
Hmm.
because your heart feels so good when you know that you have a wonderful support system that's there for you. It's never a I, it's always a we.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like there are thousands of people. I can't even count the number of people who have supported me. And being grateful for them is also an extremely important thing that I've learned, because they've everything that I've done is because of people. As I always say,
Yeah.
95% of things that are done for like through Neel Adventures has been done because people have been there, and it's just that we've wrapped it up with our passion.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, being grateful.
Thank you for sharing stuff like that, Neil. बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है सुन के. But Neil, I'd also like you to let our listeners know what is it exactly that Neil Adventures does. Like, suppose I come to Lonavala, which I did, and I went on a trek with you, and that's how I got to know about you. But what are the various possibilities that people can explore with Neil Adventures?
So there are actually a lot of things that one can do. As you saw, we do treks in Lonavala, like to trek up Duke's Nose. Then there are walks by a lake, like the Lonavala Lake. You cycle tours in Lonavala. Other thing, there's fishing also. We give you a local experience in terms of fishing. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, now we're also expanding and trying to discover new forts in Lonavala, like the Lohagarh Fort. And also later we'll be taking guests for that. But currently, for people to do their walks by lakes like the Walwan Lake, the Tungali Lake, the Lonavala Lake, there are treks up the Rustic Mountain. There is Duke's Nose. There's cycle tours in and around Lonavala. So basically, yeah, there's a lot to do. If you
Yeah,
come near.
because earlier and even now, many people know Lonavala as Bushi Dam or
Yeah.
where you get off to buy fudge and chicky. But I
Correct.
think Neel adventures can show you a lot more, and that too with a cause, right? Because Neel helps.
Yeah. So Neel, you mentioned that the proceeds from these, from whoever visits these places, and you take them along, you donate in a way to two institutions. Maybe if you can share what exactly are these institutions and how are you helping and reaching them out, reaching to them?
So basically, one is Shivdurg, which is an organization that supports. Basically, it looks at rescuing solo injured travelers, people who've fallen off cliffs. Even they also look into rescuing animals who are like street dogs and animals who are stuck or hit and run cases for street dogs. And they also, in fact, train youngsters on how to go on these rescues and help rescue other people. They have a
Yeah.
climbing gym in Lonavala which allows youngsters to train as well. So yeah, youngsters train at the climbing wall. Then that same team goes to help rescue animals and rescue solo travelers. So we just help donate to them whatever some of our proceeds to them, because I feel it's really phenomenal to give your life, risk your life for someone else. Like they're literally jumping down cliffs and all,
Yeah.
to rescue another dog or to rescue another person
Yeah.
who's fallen off, because really
Yeah.
compassionate in that sense that Shivdur does. And the second one, which is the Nablands home, which is a home for the visually impaired, which is in Khandala. That's a home where the blind or the visually impaired stay, and we financially, as in, donate some of the proceeds to uh, them. We've also actually worked with other institutes for food as well. There was an Indie Feeders Army, which helped feed the local domestic indies food in Lonavala a couple of years back. They had put feeding points in Lonavala, so we put for helped them too, and we helped a sterilization drive as well in Lonavala. So there's a lot of stuff.
Absolutely interesting. So, Neel, very interested to know what have you learned by meeting these villagers, these people who have been there, in the rural? Because where I'm coming from is, you have actually made a very serious and a very concerted effort to bridge this gap between this urban youth, right, who is watching TikTok, etc., and actually on the ground in these villages, right? So, I'm sure there have been amazing learnings you yourself, and have you shared that with your friends in school and in Mumbai?
So sure, I've actually shared with my friends and all. There's been a lot of support that's come from there in terms of people coming here, supporting our flea market and
Yeah.
stuff like that. A special mention to a friend, Ahan Gulati, who supported a lot, and from where we started to each and everything that we are doing, a lot of support from school, from friends in Mumbai. And another thing that you pointed out were the learnings that we've got through this. I think the flea market that we had, the Hidden Stars, which aimed to display local talent for people, visitors, helped locals in terms of. I got to learn a lot because I realized that again, intent is everything.
So, Neel, very interesting. So, imagine that fact that, you are in those places, right, every weekend. You must have come across so many people from those villages sharing their life issues, their challenges. What kind of challenges these guys have, so that our youngsters in cities get to know a little more about it with your
So,
experiences?
yeah. So with working with locals, I've realized that in Lonavala there's tremendous potential. People, I really couldn't imagine. I didn't know about it until recently that people here in Lonavala truly have. I can't tell you how much potential is there in Lonavala with people. For example, an artist in terms of working with MF Hussain and those kind of artists, and then settling in Lonavala. You have people like them. You have people who've done economic, like PhD, have done worked in the national defense and are doing stuff in Lonavala. I mean, but for people, urban people, I think the thought process goes that people in rural areas don't have the ability. But if you see Lonavala itself, the amount of potential that people here have is incredible. Are facing difficulties in reaching out to people of Mumbai and Pune and reaching out to a wider audience. And to do that, again, we were our main aim, our intent was to have through the flea market to help them reach out, reach their talent, as in showcase their talent to people of Mumbai, Pune, and help connections grow. And
Mhm.
of course, connections are simply everything. If they connect, if talent connects with people, people with talent, I think, gives you unlimited opportunities. And that's what's critically important. So, if you're talking about the issue that people in rural areas have, is that connecting to people from the urban area,
Which is,
from Mumbai and Pune.
and I'm sure you've taken back all these stories and challenges with your friends back home, or in your school for that matter.
Yeah.
What have you been able to convey, and how have their feedback to you?
So, in terms of support, if you look at it, we've been greatly supported by friends in Mumbai, and they really look forward to supporting our cause. People have come here, like for example, for the Flea friends here, and have seen that again that people of Lonavala actually have potential, and they were also shocked by the amount of stuff that people in Lonavala can do. Again, as
Yeah.
you said, Lonavala is looked at as a more rural area with village and stuff like that, as a village and
Yeah.
stuff. People are now slowly realizing that Lonavala has tremendous potential and amount of talent hidden here. It's a gold mine. And if I tell
Mm.
you, sky's the limit for people out here if they just simply reach out to people of Mumbai.
Okay.
And Neil, here I would like to pause and ask you a little bit more about the flea market, right? That was your first attempt at it, and
Right.
just tell us, like, what were the sort of, say 3, 4 stalls, which really stood out. What was the sort of money people earned through it? Because somebody who's so young put together all this
Yeah.
thing. And got so many people together, right? And I believe you had about 3,500 people,
Yeah.
Paul.
Firstly, we were overwhelmed by the number of people who came, and it was truly shocking to see such a wonderful audience. But I was grateful for that support. But actually, so everyone connected with most people. Like it was really overwhelming to see firstly the smiles on the people's faces who sold stuff. Later on, we did get calls saying that Neil, like them being grateful, कि हमारा सब बिक गया. We have reached to one person, for example, the fertilizer guy opened a stall after a shop after that. Then
Wow.
one person got fully sold out thrice in that same flea during the flea. And for me, that experience was just overwhelming to see. It's damn good to see someone else happy when
Yeah.
they sell their stuff,
Success stories. Yeah.
their success story. And it's been a wonderful experience, the flea market as such. And people, even though if people didn't, some people who didn't sell it there themselves, later on people took their visiting cards, and they got sold out later. In terms of, there was stuff that you can buy only later, right? Larger quantity,
Yeah. Mm.
later quantity. And basically everyone was profitable. We were really blessed to have such a successful um, event, and it's great to see that other people in Lonavala are now looking to have similar stuff, flea market in a more different scale, and people um, using the idea to help benefit others. And our purpose is then getting achieved. In fact, it's getting doubly achieved. Firstly, someone
Brilliant.
else is matching the thought process. Secondly, he's reaching out to another group of talented people. Those talented people are getting benefited. Secondly, they are getting sold. They'll also be benefited in terms of how much they sell. And it's having a chain effect. I'm seeing it, for example, after I went a few weeks down the line, someone else said, हमें भी ऐसा करने का है, and another got done. And then people are doing stuff like that. Yeah. So,
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Neil, the thing is that what I observe, and in post eighth grade, all kids get very busy with portfolio making, right? Like they create their resume, they create, events like this, they'll write a book, and of course, all kids are talented, they are showcasing what they have. But the joy that you're getting out of this matches, I think it's bigger than any portfolio. No portfolio can match this, right? I mean, that passion that is coming out of every word that you're using, Neil,
Yeah.
for me, Santosh, and I'm sure for our listeners, will be like, this boy is really, really doing it from his heart, right? And that matters, and that's the purpose of the show, right, Santosh?
Absolutely.
but if I tell you, nothing, zero from zilch, nothing would have been possible without. It's not me. Firstly, I would like to add
Sure.
one thing that it's not me doing this. I'll tell you from the start, from scratch. Firstly, Amrita Didi, family or neighbor, who and their family has supported me tremendously. They gave me the first few guests. They gave me people. They advertised Neel Adventures and got me guests. Then from there we met the Chandralok team, as in then they helped us. We
Yeah.
collaborated with them. They saw the passion, as in, and then we got guests from them. My point is that without, if nobody was there for us and no one showed me the right path. For example, Amrita Didi first showed me the right path. Then Chandralok and other teams came and helped me, such as Siddhi and uh, their side, then North Point. And what I've felt, that if we don't have other support, you can't go anywhere. And I'm really grateful that, as I said, 95% of work has been done by everyone else for us, and it's just the passion that takes over.
Absolutely. It's all about teamwork and collaboration, and
Teamwork,
as you rightly said.
collaboration, and passion, nothing else.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I have a and I'm sure listeners also would have this a very interesting question for you, Neel.
Yeah.
You're in your 11th grade, and there's a lot ahead in life. So,
Good.
what's the future plan? I know it may be too early for you to even to get into that mode, but some kind of a framework around what's your plan and how you want to pursue this passion ahead.
So my plan for the future, firstly, it's just that sky is the limit, as I said, and I'm really grateful that people are supporting me, and I can say that sky is the limit because we have the opportunities that people are giving me and are supporting me with. There are unlimited people to thank, but for the future, my aim is that I should try 1,000 different things, try everything out. Like, for example, we're learning podcasts, we're learning how to the new places I'm discovering, like forts in Lonavala, trying to reach out to more hotels that I think are currently out of my capacity. As in, there's nothing that's out, but yeah, some things that are out of my capacity. And just trying different things, podcasts, places, people, and let's see where things go. And as you said, it's a bit early to decide one particular line. Let's try for the next 4-5 years different things, and we'll see where we reach.
Absolutely.
Like the 5 P's of marketing, Neel, we had this concept in MBA, which was the 5 P's of marketing. I can already see the 3 P's of Neel, which is podcast, places, and people, and run by another big P, which is passion, right?
Yeah.
So P is a very significant thing in Neel's life, is what I can say.
And of course,
Correct.
the last P, which is Neel reaching out along with his other friends, his supporters, to various places. So you know what, Neel, what is a learning for us, and maybe as the listeners of this podcast, is there's so much. And what is the beauty of this is when we talk about India's growth in the next 10 years, what we have is living examples like you who are really contributing to the social space, not just in the cities or the urban areas, but in the rural space. It's making a huge contribution. Maybe it's the visually impaired, be it the pet care, and not just that, you're also helping in nation building because you're bringing trying to bridge that gap between the urban and the rural space, like in terms of the flea market, for example, and genuinely helping in the nation building. And that's amazing, and it's extremely promising, Neel, for all of us.
Truly grateful. Thank you so much for. I mean, as I said, nothing would be possible without people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Neel, for joining us on this podcast, our very second episode of Beyond Work. But I would definitely say, in your case, it's Beyond School. And it goes a long way. And it's an important message for all our youngsters out there. Go beyond the social space, the social network, and be on the ground and socialize with people. And there's so much to do beyond India, in Indian cities and urban cities, and go out and reach out in the rural places. There's a lot more talent out there, abilities out there, competencies out there. And it's exactly what kids like, I will not say kid, but youth like Neel are doing to make such a huge difference to a country like India. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond Work.
One last thing I had, Neel, which is ask not what Lonavala can do for you. Ask what you can do for Lonavala, right? You're doing lots. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so
being
much.
on our show. And
Thank
take
you so
care.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.